Welcome to the extended version of this lesson on the A story and B story. We just explored how modern storytelling often fuses the classic masculine and feminine stories to create a richer hybrid. And now let's talk about why that fusion works so well and then see it in action with an in-depth example. To start, let's talk a little more about the idea of masculine and feminine stories. To clarify, these are just terms and they don't dictate the gender of the protag or the audience. Also, because history is overwhelmingly written and recorded by men, there is a huge bias towards masculine stories as opposed to feminine stories. The masculine story is externally driven. Slay the dragon, find the chalice, become king. It centers around the idea that fulfillment comes from external sources, and often ends with the hero finding high status and/or riches. Structuralists have pointed to Gilgamesh as the prototypical masculine story, and a good modern example would be 1987's Predator, or its 2022 successor, Prey. Masculine stories tell us, go complete this difficult task and you will be rewarded. On the other hand, the feminine story is internally driven. It is subtler and focuses more on the protag's identity and their connection to their community. Books are more likely to be feminine stories because they have the advantage of letting you inside the protag's head to witness their growth. Feminine stories center around the idea that fulfillment comes from within. Structuralists point to The Descent of Inanna as the prototypical feminine story, and a good modern example would be 2011's Bridesmaids or 2016's The Edge of 17. Feminine stories tell us, go deep within yourself and you will be rewarded. Then we have the modern fusion of the two. This story is both externally and internally driven. It centers around the idea that external fulfillment can only be reached through internal growth. A lot of rom-coms, including Love, Simon, fit into this category. These New Age stories tell us, in order to complete this difficult task, you will need to grow, then you will be rewarded. The reason this works so well is because it is the most honest and true to life. It also plays into what we talked about in the last extended lesson. If the purpose of stories is to instruct others on life and how to live it, then what do you internalize when you hear, in order to complete this difficult task, you will need to grow, then you will be rewarded? These stories are showing us things that we want and saying, the only way to get this is to become a better version of yourself. Now let's see this in action with our in-depth example.
Tootsie is a 1982 film that follows Michael Dorsey as he gets an acting job on a medical soap opera. The only problem is, the role is for a woman, so Michael invents female alter ego Dorothy Michaels. The A story of Tootsie surrounds Michael's desire to be a working actor. He auditions for the soap opera in disguise and gets the role. But on the show, he falls for co-star Julie, and he's soon looking for a way out of his contract. This eventually culminates in Michael revealing his identity on live television, then professing his love to Julie. That's what the story is about. But what is Tootsie really about? The B story surrounds Michael's view of women. Through his relationship with Sandy, we see that he treats women poorly. It's not until he disguises himself as a woman that he begins to understand how wrong he's been. And through his friendship with Julie, Michael undergoes internal growth, which he proves at the end of the movie when he says, I was a better man with you as a woman than I ever was with a woman as a man. But most importantly, this highlights the idea we mentioned in this lesson. A character wants something physical, but before they can earn it, they must make a psychological change. Michael wants a relationship with Julie. Unfortunately, he doesn't respect women. In order to be with Julie, he will need to learn how to respect women. And through his journey as Dorothy, he learns this, ultimately undergoing a psychological change and becoming a better version of himself. And it is only after he proves this that Julie wants to be with him. Notice the A story and B story develop simultaneously, but are closely linked. Julie not only acts as the center of the A story, but also as the driver of the B story, since her speech is what catalyzes the epiphany in Michael. There is not always clear separation between what is a part of the A story and what is a part of the B story, because the best moments have a huge impact on both.
Hopefully you now have a better understanding of the way the external A story works together with the internal B story. Keep this in mind over the next few lessons as we talk about each one in more detail. Understanding the root of each story and what they are trying to tell us will help you understand what your story is saying and ensure it lines up with the lesson you want to teach.